for today's class, we're going to incorporate half pigeon at some point. We're going to warm up to it and then we'll add in that half pigeon pose, which is a pretty intense hip stretch. So we'll possibly, if you have like a bolster or some kind of extra cushioning to grab to support you in that position, grab that on your way to your yoga mat. Let's start laying down. We will grab our extra cushioning if you'd like. Maybe laying in Shavasana or bending your knees and standing your feet up here. Constructive rest pose. Either way will do. Take a couple sighs if you want. Letting your body adjust here to laying down, mentally preparing ourselves for shifting into this time of yoga, presence, awareness, unity, if you will, with your mind, body, spirit, any higher powers if that's part of your life. We can kind of consider this yoga time, that time of being in deep connection. We'll try to steady the breath. Release any tension or gripping or holding that you can sense. And especially paying attention to relaxing the muscles around your face, your jaw, your tongue, your eyebrows, all of those muscles around each eye, especially between the eyebrows, your forehead, your scalp. And if it feels right, deepening your breath, bringing in some diaphragmatic breath here, letting the belly expand more, rib cage expand a little more with your breath in. And again, using that exhale just to soften everything up. If it helps you remain connected to your breath, maybe allowing a little sound to accompany your breath, bringing in another sense to help keep track of the breath. And just watching that if you do have that sound included, just paying attention that you're not creating tension with it. I was noticing I was creating a little tension and a little too much effort with it. So just smoothing things back out. Really, really important to have some kind of sense of relief, I think, at the start of a practice like this. Some kind of significant marker transitioning from our normal schedule to this kind of special time of yoga. If you'd like to set a dedication or intention for today's practice, feel free to bring something to mind right now. And then we'll experiment with a 3-part inhale and a 3-part exhale. So you can really just think about it as one exhale, but we just take some pauses. So it ends up kind of in 3 different chunks. Breath in, pausing just after a little bit of air in, and continuing to draw air in until you have those 3 separate chunks. And we'll do the same on the exhale. So exhale, pause, exhale, pause, exhale to the end. Inhale, pause, inhale at the top. I hope that makes sense. So go ahead and experiment with that and just see how your body responds, see how your mind responds. If it's too frustrating or anything, you're always welcome to skip over or edit your experience. And as you continue experimenting, see if you can come to a place where each of those segments of your breath become a little more equal. And not too many of those. And then we'll just go ahead and smooth things back out. At the top of your next inhale, let's pause, hold your breath just for a comfortable amount of time, and then go ahead and sigh it out. Go ahead and do that 2 more times. Just a natural inhale, pause for any length of time at the top, and then sigh. And then starting to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe let your head rock from one side to the other. If your knees are bent, or if not, well, we can maybe head into a long body stretch, straightening your legs out, reaching fingers and toes in opposite directions. Maybe circling ankles and wrists here again, wiggling fingers and toes. I'm not sure if you can hear all the, my feet are cracking a lot. It's kind of cold in here. All right. And then we'll hug the knees in toward the chest, stretching out your low back, and maybe giving the low back a little massage, circling your knees a bit here, taking some free movement, focusing in on the point of pressure between you and the floor. Ooh, I wonder if you could hear that crack. Lots of cracks over here today. Okay, then we'll set our feet down. If you have something under your head or under your body, possibly moving that to the side, let's warm up with a couple rounds of breathing bridge pose, planting the arms down by your sides, scooting your shoulder blades together behind your back, spreading out all your toes, and then setting your feet down. Tuck your tailbone under, flattening out that space beneath your low back. And with an inhale, lifting up, reaching the hip points high, tucking your chin toward your chest, nice and spacious through the back of your neck. And exhale, lower down. Work with your own breath here. Find your own rhythm. See about using your entire inhale to lift and your entire exhale to lower right back down. Go ahead and continue that. If you want to add a little more space, we can stay lifted at the top, maybe coming up to the heels, lifting up the toes, seeing if you can drive down through the heels a little bit more. You could lower in between your experiments. Maybe at some point up at the top of your bridge pose, maybe now coming up to the tippy toes and lifting your heels. I guess I've never tried doing one with one foot and the other with the other foot, but feel free. Feel free to explore. Just a couple more rounds of bridge in your own fun way. Can it be fun? I'm having fun. Okay, when you've had enough with that, once again, pulling your knees in toward your chest, stretching the glutes, loosening up your low back, maybe rocking a little bit side to side, or again, circling your knees. All right, bringing both feet down to the floor here. We can bring our arms out wide for support, or maybe down like a low V, your choice. Press your right foot down a lot. Start to lift your left foot, straightening or almost straightening your left leg. Start to circle out your left ankle. Point and flex through the ankle and toes a couple times as well. Okay. And then figure four. So the left knee bends, left ankle on top of that right thigh. So you're creating that little four-like shape. And just checking here for a couple moments, maybe letting your legs kind of rock side to side, adjusting a little bit if you need to or want to. And if you want to add on here, maybe pressing your left hand into your left knee or thigh, creating more space there in that left hip flexor area. Maybe you reach to interlace your fingers behind your right thigh, just so long as your shoulders and head can comfortably rest on the floor without strain. If your right foot is lifted, maybe bending and straightening your right knee a couple of times. And then we'll start to think about switching sides. Take your sweet time, setting your right foot down if it was lifted. We'll take a little time again to let the knees rock side to side, or your figure four legs to rock side to side, easing in and out of this little figure four moment. And then we'll lift and straighten that left leg again, the same one we just did. Just give it a little wiggle or a little kick or something just to keep circulation going there. And then we'll switch sides, planting your left foot on the floor and lifting and straightening or almost straightening your right leg. You can always hold on to your leg if that feels better. Just circling out your right ankle, pointing and flexing, checking out your range of motion here through that right ankle, making sure all your toes are there today. Bend and straighten maybe. And when you're ready, figure four, bending your right knee, right ankle on that left thigh. Maybe shifting side to side, twisting side to side a couple times here. If you're wanting more, maybe pressing your right hand into your right thigh or knee. Maybe reaching to interlace your fingers behind that left thigh. And it's very possible what happened or worked on one side, it might be different on the other. So don't force yourself to be symmetrical in any way. And we're hanging out here, maybe flexing the ankles or maybe bending and straightening your left knee if it's lifted. And then go ahead and make your way back down if you are ready. Setting your left foot back on the floor if it was lifted, and then allowing a twist side to side of your legs once more. This whole little series here is a nice one to do if you feel kind of restless at night and you're in bed, you don't want to get out of bed or throw your legs up a wall or anything like that. This can be kind of a legs up the wall variation, focusing on one leg at a time, which is known to lower your heart rate and calm the nervous system. All good stuff. Okay. Springing that or straightening your right foot up, your right leg up one more time, giving it a little shake, and then setting your foot down. We'll come up to a seat next, so either rocking and rolling a couple times up and down the spine, or turning to the fetal position on either side and pressing your way up. Right away, let's come to hands and knees for cat and cow. The fingertips spread out just enough, hands below your shoulder joints, knees more or less below each hip joint. Inhale, cow pose, belly lowering, gaze and tailbone lifting. Exhale, cat, rounding up through the spine, tucking your chin and tucking your tailbone. Inhale to cow pose. Exhale, cat. Continuing at your own pace, finding that rhythm again. Feel free to explore variations, little twist or turn. Next time you're in cat pose with your spine all rounded up toward the ceiling, go ahead and push a little bit more into your hands and see if you can get a little more of a sense of an upper back stretch. You might kind of, almost like you're shrugging your shoulders or just kind of twisting through your upper back here, side to side. And then release. Let's find our way back to child's pose, possibly bringing your knees out wide toward the edges of your mat, big toes touching behind you. You can sink right back to your child's pose or take a little time easing into it, maybe coming to the forearms and taking a moment. Let's find that diaphragmatic breath again here for a couple of rounds. All right, as you're ready, let's come on up and then right down to your stomach. We'll straighten the legs out behind us. Um, you can bend and straighten your knees a couple times, just kind of settling your way in. If there's anything like your blocks or anything close by, we'll kind of move those aside because we want a little bit of a range of motion here through the upper body. You can start with your hands by either side of your chest here. We're going to find a baby cobra-like lift. So we're pressing the feet into the floor quite a bit. So you feel your glutes and your thighs kind of working a little bit here to hold you all in place. Let's lift your head up just a little bit, not to max capacity here. If this feels like enough today, this is great. We can take the next step if you'd like to, hovering your hands up off of the floor. If this is still feeling good, feel free to extend your arms out in front of you. I think sometimes it's called like a Superman pose. And then go ahead and swim your arms around and down by your sides. hey, we're swimming. We'll bring the hands back up by our sides and reach out in front of you and around and down. You're probably going to feel this in your low back quite a bit. So just maybe one more. You can always lower down a little bit early. That's fine. And then crocodile pose to rest. So stacking your hands or your fists underneath your forehead and then allowing your body just to have that rest, melting into the floor, letting your heels splay out to the sides. If you'd like another round of that, let's give it one more try. Bring the hands by your sides of your chest here so we get our lower body here engaged. So again, pressing your feet down, lifting maybe halfway into your baby cobra, feeling really steady in your core here. So we're really engaged through the body. Let's reach the arms out, hover the hands up, reach your arms out in front of you, and then swimming your hands all the way around and down by your sides. And go ahead and take a couple rounds like that if it's feeling good. And then meeting back up in crocodile pose, resting your head on top of your hands, letting your heels go out to the sides. One last breath here. Go ahead and start to press your way up to tabletop. Let's grab our blocks. Child's pose in between feels nice to me. So take your time as we're setting up for our first downward facing dog. I'm grabbing those blocks now, walking them up toward the top of the mat. Curl the toes under and start to lift on up to our downward dog. Hands are active here. The breath is flowing. Try to tap back into that relaxed face kind of sensation from the beginning. Even if we are, using a lot of effort and muscle strength here, let's see if our face doesn't really need to be doing that work. So let's just try to relax the face. Maybe pedaling out your knees, bending and straightening, opposite legs. Go ahead and bend your knees. We'll walk the hands to the back of the mat. So we end up in a forward fold at the back. A little bit of ragdoll pose here. You might toe heel your feet out a little wider. You could have your blocks here, or maybe even bring your hands or your elbows up to your knees for more support. You can hold on wherever you need to, or let your upper body hang kind of loose. Maybe some stillness, or maybe a nice consistent sway. It's called ragdoll for a reason, so being nice and loose. Bending your knees a little bit more. Let's support ourselves on the way up to stand. So walking your hands up your legs. Take your time here. In no rush. Wow. Okay. Once you eventually get up to the top, let's just get a nice organic shakeout going here. Just see how your body wants to move a little bit. You can always start by lifting and lowering your heels and swinging your arms, or shaking your hands like you're trying to get water to dry off of your hands. A little bit of a bounce or a jump maybe. Maybe some of you guys have seen this. I just heard about, there's like I think it's like a TikTok thing, but you kind of lose your ability to skip as you get older if you don't continue to like move like that. So it's like the fascia of the body kind of tightening up and holding so you're not as easy to like rebound. So no shame either way, but maybe just kind of getting like a little bit a skip type of vibe for a second. And then when you've had enough, we're at the back of the mat. Let's find mountain pose, flipping your palms to the front of your space. Maybe taking a look at your feet as you be very intentional with the way your feet are connecting to the ground, all the way up the legs and the spine. Standing tall, lengthening up through the crown of your head. And keeping a partial tuck of your chin. So it's the back of your neck that's feeling long. It's the crown of your head that's feeling tall. Mountain pose. See if you can conjure up a feeling of unshakableness, of strength. We're gonna soften here. Inhale, arms start to reach high. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, bringing the hands up to the thighs. Exhale, walk your way out to tabletop. Your hands could be on blocks here, making that kind of ramp shape of the body. Take a big breath in. And exhale, knees lower, and the chest lowers as well. Pressing your feet down into the mat. Just a regular baby cobra here with your inhale. We're lifting up through the head and heart. And exhale, lower down. Inhale, lifting up, baby cobra. And exhale, lowering back down. One more time like that. Inhale, baby cobra. And exhale, lower. All right, one more good back, lower back move here. I always forget the name of this one. I think it's, I don't remember. But the arms come out wide. We're going to bend the left knee and then start to reach your left toes toward your right hand behind you. I'm actually going to bend my left, I want my left hand here for support by my chest. We're just going to kind of turn onto the side, and by no means does your left foot have to even get close to your right hand. We're just kind of twisting in that way. I'm getting both a hip and a low back kind of stretch here. And then we'll just switch back and forth a couple of times. So no need to spend a lot of time bending, planting that right hand down. Let your left arm come out wide, and then start to bend your right knee as you reach your right foot back behind you. Take your time, switching side to side at your own pace. You could do a little like tap to one side, tap to the other, or you can, hang out. And I'm always fascinated by how like a deep breath in these different poses, like how it moves from the inside. Just trying to get curious about something maybe. And knowing that we started with the left foot reaching behind, make sure you end on the other side so things are more or less equal. And coming back to that baby cobra position. Let's press our way up to tabletop and then back to child's pose. Your knees could go out wide or stay a little closer together. Big breath in and out. One more breath here. . All right, starting to rise on up. Let's step just the right foot forward. So just however you need to get that right foot forward. Kind of scoot it into place here. We're gonna lean forward into, or like lean the hips forward just a little bit. We don't want to be like dumped into the hips, but we do want to have just a little bit of a tip and lift on up. If it's better, you can always use your right thigh for support here. Arms are gonna reach high. A little bit of balancing going on here. Let's make that steeple grip, pointing the pointer fingers and thumb, kind of like the Charlie's Angel. Pew pew hands. And then we're going to stretch to the right, side bend to the right. So just very slow, tipping to the right. Again, a lot of stuff going on here, stabilizing muscles, helping us balance. If it's too tippy, you can toe heel your right foot out a little wider for more support and ease. Breathing into the left side, and eventually come back up to the top. And lower your hands down. We'll step the left or the right knee back to meet your left tabletop. And go ahead and step your left foot forward. You can always help it up. Okay. Knowing that it's a little bit of a balancing pose coming up, maybe we start with that left foot a little wider out to the left side. When you're ready, coming on up, finding that slightly forward hip position here without just like hanging out in our joints. Inhale, reaching the arms high. Breathing like normal as we find that steeple grip. And then slowly side bending toward the left. And breathing more into that right side. At least it feels that way to me. And go ahead and bring your hands back down. If your blocks are handy, grab our blocks, curl that right toe, right foot under, and then step your left foot back. Let's come to a downward dog. Big breath in and a clearing breath out. Two more like that. One more. Bending your knees, look up toward your hands, and then walk your hands to the back of your mat. Forward fold at the back. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Press your feet down. Inhale, rise all the way up, joining your palms overhead. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Take a few moments. See if you can feel your heartbeat by pressing your thumbs into the heart center, the sternum. I think it helps to close your eyes. All right, let's take a clearing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Opening your eyes if they were closed. Let's keep the hands at heart center for a moment here. Take a big breath in just as you are. Exhale, twisting to the right. So it's kind of a prayer twist. So we'll keep our hands at heart center. Let's see about just twisting through the upper body. Maybe you eventually look over your right shoulder, kind of completing that twist. Keep your knees a little loose here. And then slowly come back to the center if you want, queuing up with an inhale at the center. And let that exhale usher you into a twist to the left. Take your time, possibly looking over that left shoulder, completing the twist on this side. And then come on back to the center. Inhale, hands reaching high. And exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Listen carefully. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way back up, joining hands overhead. Exhale, baby back bend, bending the elbows, lifting the chest. Inhale, hands reach high. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way back up, joining palms overhead. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Feel free to tuck your chin, stretching out the back of your neck, taking a moment, maybe rocking your right ear toward your right shoulder a bit, and vice versa, left ear toward your left shoulder for a moment. Back and forth a couple of times. And then if you have a bolster or some extra cushioning for our half pigeon, which is coming right up, feel free to just kind of get that out and handy. And we'll start to walk our way out to a downward facing dog. Hands on blocks if you want. Take your time. Let's just go from downward dog to chaturanga or plank a couple of times, or dandasana rather. So plank to downward dog, stretching the feet out here, a little bit more warmth through the body. So we're nice and warmed up for a nice deep hip stretch next. Okay, when you're ready, let's start to step that right knee up toward your right wrist. So we'll just set the knee right down on the floor. Everyone's body is very different. So for me, the angle of my right foot is like, it's basically right under my left thigh. It could be a little closer to parallel to the top of your mat. I'm not sure. And then we'll lower the left leg down. So the left knee, flatten out to the top of your left foot. Take a little peek over your left shoulder and see if you can have your left leg, just straight out from the hip behind you. If you're on your blocks, go ahead and come up to the highest setting and see if we can just kind of rise up here first. Maybe you can feel that nice stretch happening through the left hip flexor. If you want a challenge, you could kind of stay here for the time being, or grabbing your bolster. There's lots of ways to use it. You could put a little something underneath your right seat, right glute, not a little too high. And then lowering onto perhaps your bolster or your forearms. If you have knee problems or anything that's feeling just too intense here, go ahead and just flip onto your back. You could do a little bit more figure four, kind of the reclined version here. Although you will notice we're getting both stretch here through that outer right glute and leg, as well as the hip opener through the left hip here. It is a bit different. Let's get comfy here if you can, or at least find a place that feels safe and sustainable for a couple more breaths. Trying to relax into it, kind of surrender to the pose, as they say. But please don't ignore your very valid feelings physically or emotionally if they arise. Resting your head on something if you can. I have kind of a block stacked up here under my head. Let's take about 5 more breaths. Don't torture yourself. You can always adjust. Take your time. Finishing out all those breaths if you want. Eventually, we'll slowly rise back up, removing props from underneath the right glutes and sitting onto the right glute. Bring your left leg up and around as if you were going to sit in a cross-legged position. And then we'll bring the right leg out to the right side. So we're in like a deer pose or 90-90. Both knees are bent. The right shin is kind of parallel to the right side of your mat. Your left shin, somewhat parallel to the top edge of your mat. Let's take a twist toward the left. Hopefully, we can feel a little bit of counter pose here, or like a reopening of this right side. If you're not quite feeling like a release or a relief, see if you can soften the right hip and the right glute. You could kind of stay lifted or kind of lower up and down a little bit here if you want. And then we'll switch sides. We're already halfway set up, so the left leg can kind of stay in place. We'll come up onto the hands as we bring the right foot and the right leg back behind us. Grab your blocks, bringing those under your hands if you have them. We're just gonna kind of settle in here. So peeking over your right shoulder, trying to straighten that right leg out more or less behind you, and then find a sense of liftedness here. So the right glute's really helping stay lifted. You can feel a nice amount now of stretch through the right hip flexor area. I find that this is like a lot more of a, I don't know, it almost feels like more satisfying to stay upright for at least part of the time. If you want, we can find that resting pigeon by lowering our way onto props or not, depending on you. Again, maybe bringing a block underneath the left glute or underneath the left thigh a little bit. And perhaps reclining onto your bolster. I'm bringing a block under my head as well. Keep adjusting until it actually feels supportive. And then we'll do our best to sink back into this nice deep rhythm of breath. All of the muscles around your face, nice and soft. Just about 5 more breaths. When the timing is right, slowly rising back up, removing any props that might be holding you up. Sit back on your left glute. Bring your right leg up and around like you're gonna sit in that cross-legged position, and then uncross the left leg. So we're back in that 90-90 with the left shin about parallel to the left edge of your mat, the right shin more or less parallel to the top of your mat, twisting toward the right. You can stay lifted or kind of do this up and down kind of movements. Okay. And then we can kind of clear the way of our props. We'll get all set up for our final Shavasana here. So take your time, take a roundabout way of getting to your final resting pose, maybe using any props that you have for extra comfort under your knees. You could go for a long body stretch or maybe hug your knees back in toward your chest. Anything else that feels right as you come back to stillness. We'll have a short Shavasana here today, just a matter of breaths. So really trying to make each breath just bring you right to that peaceful, relieving, released kind of state. Maybe you can feel a sense of union with your own body or mind, or maybe you can expand that to a sense of feeling united with your community or your neighborhood or any higher powers you might have in your life. Feel free to continue resting as long as you want, as long as you need. Today I will end our class right here in Shavasana, so no need to move or even open your eyes. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May we have peace in our words, peace in our thoughts, peace in our actions. May we prioritize our well-being as well as the well-being of our communities. May we remember our interconnectedness with everything around us. And just inviting you to spend a little more time here and eventually ease your way back into a little movement. Thank you all so much for being here today. Continue your rest and hope to see you again soon. Bye.